Welcome to the Fantasy Football Hub YouTube channel. Today I'm joined by the big man Bakar to preview Game Week 8. But Bakar, before we even get into that, you got a huge 91 points last game week. You played your bench boost, did very well out of it. How many points did you get from that? 18 or so? We'll have a look back at your team in just a second. But 91 points to halve your rank. You got to be pretty happy with that.
Yeah. Hello, Jack. Hello, welcome to all the listen viewers. Hope you've had a very nice break. Last week feels like an eternity away.
Yeah, sorry, last
Thankfully,
game week. Yeah, a while ago.
Last game. Yeah, I got a good week finally under my belt. Actually, since the time I wildcard in Game Week 6, I have now risen to 1.8 million from 6 million in rank. So the plan has sort of worked. The plan was to wildcard in 6 and bench boost in 7. Obviously, I've gotten very lucky with Jean-Paul Van Hecke scoring 11 points
Why are you giving him
on
his
the bench
full
boost
name?
on my bench. Yeah, I mean, I actually had to look it up. I tweeted about him when he scored. I was running around the room and my wife was judging me for my reaction when he scored, because I actually watched that game distinctly, because I knew that I would have him as a differential and I was hoping for a clean sheet at best. But to see him score, I don't know how. He doesn't really score that often, once in like 2-3 years, and to time that return with an 11-pointer was great, because the rest of the bench did not actually perform well at all. Dubravka got 2, Stack got 2, Anderson got 3. So at the time when I was sort of discussing with you in the previous video, I was like, if I get like 1, 5 or 6 point return and the rest get like 2, 3, I'd be fine. So I definitely feel as if I got 4 or 5 above what I thought would be a good score. So very happy overall. Gabriel did really well. Raya did well. Ndia and Tarkowski also got me, quite a lot of points. So those were picks that were popular on a Game Week 6 wildcard. So even though the Game Week 6 wildcard team that I picked was more or less a template one, it's just great that the 1 or 2 differentials that I've picked have sort of come off, and I'm now sitting at a reasonably respectable rank.
Yeah, for sure. So did you were watching Van Hecke's goal live? What a privilege.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of FPL right there.
Admit.
When like a player that's, I don't know his ownership, but obviously under 1% or whatever, gets you a 9-point goal in a split second.
Yeah, so what happened was, this is just for clarity, I had all the 3 games on at one time. The Everton game was on, the Brighton game was on. There was one other which I'm forgetting. It was the Aston Villa Burnley one, because I had Dubravka playing. So I had like, one was on the telly, one was on my laptop, and one was on my phone. So I distinctly remember I was actually watching the Brighton game with the most concentration throughout. But I think there was this Everton penalty or something happened in the Everton game, and I just switched for a second. My concentration switched to the Everton game, and then when I turned back to the laptop, when Hecke was celebrating, and I was like, wow, this can't be true. I was like, this cannot be true. And then, they were showing the replay of the goal, and that is when I just went absolutely ballistic. So, yeah, I mean, these are the moments we play FPL for.
I would have loved VAR to come in there and just overrule it and just kill you. It would have been so good. But no, that's what it's all about, as you said.
Sure,
this is why we play the game. Same. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel the sort of game where more often than not you have regrets, and when finally a plan comes off, you're obviously have to celebrate and take the moment with all that you can.
Absolutely. Well, it sets you up pretty well going into Game Week 8 after the international break, of course. So far you've come through the international games without any injuries as well, which I think is important. Now, it hasn't finished. We're recording this for transparency on Tuesday evening to come out Wednesday morning. There are still games to be played. But so far, looking at your team, looks all right. It doesn't need to be any sort of major surgery there at all.
Correct. I don't feel the need to make a transfer this week, although there's one that I'm particularly considering. But overall, the team is in good shape. I can easily roll. The one player that I'm considering is Enzo Fernandez. And it's actually quite tricky, because I don't have a direct route to him, because I don't have any money in the bank. Yeah. And in order to get him, I'd have to sell either Fernandez or Semenyo. And obviously, I don't think Semenyo is sellable at this point, and I'm happy to keep Fernandez for a while as well because the fixtures are still okay, and I don't have any plans of moving him on anytime soon, even though the fixture this week isn't great. So realistically, either I make two free transfers to make uh, room for Enzo and maybe sell someone like an NDI, or alternatively just roll the transfer.
Yeah. I'm not sure I'll be going out of my way to get Enzo. I know with Palmer's injury, he is a much better player or FPL pick. I don't think he's like suddenly unbelievable value though, and I know we do have good fixtures coming up. But do we know what's going to happen with Palmer? Like when's he going to be back? I still don't think that Enzo is necessarily 100% on penalties for what it's worth as well. I do expect Joao Pedro to have some sort of pen share there. But yeah, a lot does depend on Palmer because if you told me that Palmer was going to be out indefinitely, Enzo I think would be more of an option for me. He did pick up a little bit of a knock as well in the international period. I think he'd probably be all right. But yeah, what are your thoughts on Palmer?
I don't think Palmer is going to be in action anytime soon, so
Okay.
that's not a concern for me. The more of a concern for me is actually Enzo's own withdrawal from the
Yeah.
Argentinian second game, and apparently he was diagnosed with synovitis in his knee. So we'll obviously get some hints from Maresca in the press conference and from the training pictures, but I would assume that if he's trained, that he would be fine to start, and that's pretty much all the information we need. Um, just by the way, Chelsea actually have the earlier fixture as well, so I might even wait till Saturday morning. And if there's a Chelsea leak, then that might be worth pulling the trigger on. The thing with Enzo is that when I look at my team, I don't see any transfers that I'd be wanting to make in the coming weeks because when I wildcarded in game week 6, there were two players who I had sort of penciled in to bring by game week 8 or 9 if need be. One of them was Salah, but Haaland has been performing so well that I don't feel the need to bring Salah in. And
Yeah.
because Salah hasn't really looked on it as well, right? Obviously, that just adds to just keeping Haaland. And the second player I wanted in was Palmer. And I don't think that we're going to see him get any minutes anytime soon. I think the injury is serious. And until he plays, let's say, a good number of minutes in a certain fixture, I don't think I'd be going there. And when you look at Chelsea's fixtures, they have a really nice block of fixtures, including this week against Forest, because Forest are completely out of sorts. And then in game week 9, they're playing Sunderland at home. Game week 10 is Spurs away. 11 is Wolves at home, and then Burnley away. Now, that is a fantastic run of fixtures. So, the reason why I might bring Enzo in this week is because I feel as if I don't bring him in this week, I'll bring him in next week. And if I don't bring him in 10, I'll bring him in by 11 or 12 anyway. So it's like delaying a transfer that I want to make anyway. The only thing that annoys me is the fact that I have to use two free transfers to do it. And
Yeah.
if I sort of had the funds, I would have definitely done NDI to Enzo in one move.
Sure.
But I cannot afford that. And that is why rolling is also a possibility. So I'm sort of stuck between a rock and a hard place at the moment.
Well, your recommendation, as you won't be too surprised to hear, I don't think, is to save your transfer and to roll. I mean, even if Enzo was 100% fit, I still don't think the recommendation would be to sell and die for Enzo in terms of absolute predicted points. But I do get what you're saying. If you think it's 100% going to happen at some point, then maybe it's worth bringing forward. But yeah, the recommendation is to roll. What do you think right now? What do you think you're most likely to do?
I mean, it's the sort of move which I don't think I would have considered because generally I'm someone who plays quite passively, and I'm
Yeah.
very sort of risk averse when it comes to these sort of changes. But I just don't see anyone else I'd want in the coming weeks, which is why I'm sort of tempted to make the transfer. I think if Enzo is fine, I will be tempted to do it, but I'm also struggling to actually figure out what other transfer I should make to fund this transfer because Enzo is zero point 0.2 million more expensive than NDI. Now
It's
that
just the
is
definition of a
that is
role.
the
It's the definition of a role, and you know
yeah.
that
See,
because and also like I know what you're saying, but we had this last season where, and I think it's different this time because we can roll now. Obviously, a lot more transfers, but stuff does always happen. Not necessarily in the next week, but like over the next 3 to 4 weeks until the point where you would be maxing out your transfers. That stuff will definitely happen, and there will be moves that you need to make. So I know, like, you can't say any moves right there, right now, but it's something that always like irks me when people are like, well, I can't see that this team's going to be fine for the next 4 weeks. Like, that never happens. So I'm always in favor of rolling unless you have like a clear move. And yeah, I think I agree with you. There's not a clear second move to unlock that point too.
I agree with you to quite a large extent. There are two things that are in play here. Hypothetically, if I roll and I have 4 free transfers next week, I'm pretty sure I'd still get Enzo. Firstly,
Okay.
that's what I'm thinking.
But then you may know that second pick that second transfer
Yes,
might
exactly.
be much easier.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That is a good point, and that is why this decision is very tough. Also, what is also slightly bothering me is the fact that I picked Stack with the view that he'd be on set pieces, and the next two fixtures are ones where I can play him. He's playing Burnley away this week and West Ham at home next week. Now he seems to have lost set pieces to Longstaff, and that is also something that is bothering me. And the fact that he got substituted around the 67, 68-minute mark in the previous fixture against Spurs. So his X-Mins might not be as good as I initially thought, and he's definitely lost a share of the set pieces as well. So if I roll the transfer, I'd probably have to play a Stack over NDI. NDI is playing City away, so I don't think I'd play NDI. So these are my considerations. Currently, it's a 50-50 call. I can see arguments to both rolling and doing the Enzo transfer. For what it's worth, if I do decide to do the Enzo transfer, I think I'll probably sell Van Hecke to a 4 million defender to fund it.
No,
that could be
after everything he's done for you.
What else can you do? Would you do in my team?
Absolutely brutal. Show some loyalty, perhaps. To
the worst part is his fixtures from Game Week 10 are good as well. The fixtures from Game Week 10 are actually good as well.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I didn't really get the pick in the first place, but he's done well. He's done well for you, and yeah, from Game Week 10, you got some very strong home fixtures there, which he could definitely rotate. What about stack down? You could do stack down to like a Josh King, because you've played your bench boost now.
Josh King is also not getting regular minutes. I mean, he's starting, but he's getting subbed around the 60, 65, 66-minute mark in the recent games.
Yeah, but do you need like your fifth midfielder now that you've used your bench boost and there are DEFCONs available for cheap defenders? Do you need your fifth midfielder really?
I think I definitely need my fifth midfielder more than I need my fifth defender.
You think? Okay.
That's essentially the point I'm trying to make with selling Van Hecke. Because the reason behind picking Van Hecke was that last week, most of the cheap defenders had tough fixtures. Sunderland had United away, and Leeds had Spurs at home, and Burnley had Villa away. So I wanted to pick a defender with a decent fixture, and Brighton were playing Wolves. So that was the reason behind picking someone more expensive. But now I don't need that sort of money on the bench, so I can get rid of some of the cash. But then again, I hate to say it, but it absolutely sucks using a funding transfer just to get Enzo. But I feel as if I will be compelled to do it next week if I don't do it this week. Yes, you're right, something might come up, but if it doesn't, then I might lose out in points this week, and I'll be making the same transfer next week.
For me, this is like the easiest role of all time. I'm going to be honest. Like, it's just such an easy role, and I would play and die probably over stack, and just.
You would.
Yeah. I like Everton. I think they're good. They're good. He could hit DEFCONs in that game. I don't know. On the break,
that's not going to be great for.
Grealish not playing isn't great, but it could mean Ndiaye's in a better position. And he, with penalty takers, anything can happen in any game. I mean, either that or you play like a. I don't know. I want to ask you actually about the rest of your team and who you're going to play. So I might as well do that now. Who are you going to start in goal? I assume it's going to be Raya
for sure.
And then in defense,
Arsenal have a 43% clean sheet.
Sure.
Odd probability. Burnley are close to 25, 26%. So I think Raya has to play.
Okay.
In defense, Gabriel will obviously start. I will start Senesi because his floor, because of the defensive contributions, is very high. And the third defender is a bit trickier, but I think if I keep Van Hecke, I'll play Van Hecke. And if I sell Van Hecke, I'll just play the defender that I buy, which will probably be a Sunderland defender. I think. I'm not sure whether Alderete is fit because he went off injured apparently in Paraguay's fixture. So Mukiele or Alderete, whichever one is fit, because Sunderland have a decent fixture at home to Wolves. In midfield, Fernandes, Reinders, Firmino, Stack will start, I think, and up front, Pedro, Haaland, and Gyökeres. I'll bench Anderson and Tarkowski because they're playing Arsenal and City away respectively. These are the tough fixtures.
Okay, fair enough. Captaincy, I don't think we need to talk about at all. So I just want to ask you to round this video off, sort of the best player for each position right now. Say if you were on a wild card, a lot of people are on a wild card in Game Week 8, to be fair. Who would be the player that you target in each position? Let's start with the goalkeeper. You've got Raya yourself, who's definitely up there. Do you think you'd still be on Raya if you're on a wild card now?
I think I still would be on Raya, yes.
Okay.
I feel as if there are a few other options out there as well, but I think if I was picking one, Raya, just because Arsenal's defense is just so strong and the fixtures are okay as well, he'll just be a steady source of points.
In defense, Gabriel obviously has to be there. I think the question is, would you go for a double Arsenal defense entirely, or would you go for a double attack? I might as well ask that as well in terms of Arsenal. They're sort of the key team right now with their fixtures about to get extremely good.
I think I definitely go with the double Arsenal defense. I just think it offers better value. I just think it offers better value. And with no clarity on the pen taker situation, I feel as if I'm happy just picking one Arsenal attacker.
Okay. And outside of the Arsenal defense, outside of Senesi, who would be like the next big
I think
player?
Anderson. I think Anderson because he's very similar to Senesi in terms of his defensive contribution accumulation. He's actually hit the threshold in 6 out of the 7 games, like Senesi has done. I think Richards is another one. I think I'd probably pick at 4.5 million. He's just like outstanding value in the Palace defense. In midfield, I think I'd probably go with Saka because he appears to be the penalty taker at the moment, even though it's not quite clear cut. But
I think they will share, by the way. I think they'll definitely share.
Yeah.
Sort of like Saka and Odegaard last season. I think it's just going to be like that.
Yeah, I think it's going to be like a 60-40 split.
Yeah, exactly.
And Enzo, I think I'd pick in midfield as well. Semenyo in this form, it's very hard to ignore. And coming to the forwards, I think Haaland, obviously. And I think this is the forwards are a bit trickier because currently I'm not liking too many of the forwards. I have Gyökeres, but if he doesn't have pens, he's not great. He's been very disappointing and underwhelming in recent weeks. I expect him to do all right, but at 9 million, I would obviously want a more explosive sort of return, which hasn't really happened. I think Mateta and João Pedro are close. I don't think there's a clear-cut winner. Mateta is probably going to have the penalties, but Nketiah's back, so his minutes might not be as good as they were initially in the season. But I feel as if you're chasing rank, you can go different to João Pedro and go with Mateta. But if you want to play template, then João Pedro obviously has the fixtures that I mentioned for Chelsea. And I think I would probably pick Calvert-Lewin because he enables quite a lot of the squad. I know he's a terrible finisher. I know he was terrible for me last season, but at 5.5 million, I just don't think there's anyone in and around that price range who offers the security of minutes that he does. I think he's also going to be on penalties, by the way.
He'd probably miss. I'd only go for Calvert-Lewin if he was your 8th attacker and you were looking to bench Bruce. I just do not trust him. Although I did see a good tweet, and I'm not sure who it's by, but somebody tweeted that if you do get Calvert-Lewin, at least he'll be a fun watch, no matter if he gets goals or not, because he does get a lot of big chances, and that is enjoyable. And Leeds are a good team. They've been playing very well this season, really. Yeah. So he's going to get a lot of chances. It's just whether he can convert them. What are your thoughts on Bowen? He's a player that I'm looking at this week, and I think I'm going to bring him into my team for Watkins, who may be injured as well. I know he's not travelled for the next England game. But even with that being said, I mean, I'm not sure how he's still in my team, but he is anyway. Bowen, compared to Mateta and João Pedro, what do you reckon? Yeah,
I think I'd probably have him a level below the two that I mentioned. Okay. Simply because I feel as if Chelsea and Palace have a superior attack. Mateta is going to be on penalties. João Pedro might be on penalties. Bowen's not going to be on penalties because we saw Paqueta taking one against Forest earlier this season.
Yeah.
And I feel as if you're picking a West Ham attack, you just go with Paqueta or no one.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm just a little bit concerned with Mateta's minutes for the reasons you said, and also the fact that they're in Europe as well. It's a little bit concerning. And one player you didn't mention there is Ismaila Sarr. Any thoughts on him? instead of
I think it's
Enzo? Because I mean, you could make that swap right now.
I don't think you need to have him instead of an Enzo. I think Enzo is a superior pick,
Okay.
given the fixtures and the possible pen duties, because he's obviously expected to be the main sort of beneficiary from Palmer's absence. But Saar in isolation is a good pick. I think if I was in a wildcard, I'd probably pick both Saar and Enzo.
Okay, interesting. All right. Anything else to talk about, or should we leave it there? There wasn't too much to talk about this week. I didn't feel like, but we've still been recording for 20 minutes.
Yeah, I think it's we've pretty much covered most of the bases.
Okay.
Quite a few people are on wildcard. We've discussed most of the non-wildcard options. So, yeah, I think this is a comfortable week for a lot of people to roll. If, and for those without Enzo, it's someone worth bringing in.
All right, let's leave it there, guys. If you do want to end up seeing what Bakar ends up doing, great English there. We'll roll with it. Make sure to sign up to Fantasy Football Hub, and you will see Bakar's final team reveal posted on the website to see if he does get Enzo in or not. I mean, I would strongly recommend not doing it, by the way. I also don't think that Forest away is like an amazing fixture. I get what you're saying; it's a good fixture, but Chelsea haven't looked the best recently. I don't know. Maybe that's the pessimist in me as a Chelsea fan, but yeah, if you want to see if he ends up getting Enzo or not, sign up to Fantasy Football Hub. If you want to get your recommended transfers as well, as I showed on screen, do the same. If you want to get your team rated, that's for free. Link down below. And we will see you all next week to see what Bakar ended up doing. And Enzo probably got a hat trick. Thanks, mate, as always. Catch you guys on the next one.
Yes, Jack.